inside or outside right now? Yeah, outside. New sidewalks above your head again. You can really tell this time because you have steel I-beams and you have brick archways. You can see it here. Well, So yeah, here's the deal. This is the first story of the entry, or the first story entryway of the corn building again, just like it was around the corner. Behind me is the retaining wall holding up Occidental Avenue. That goes until it hits the retaining wall holding up Skid Row, First Avenue, so on and so forth. 33 blocks of that. Open sky for 4 years in between here and there. They know, even though this is the only way into the building for the first 4 years, eventually this entryway will become obsolete. After they put the new sidewalks in, people are going to use the second story entryways, like we've been doing for the tour. In and out second story entryways, up and down staircases inside the building, then in and out this entryway if they want to use the underground space. That's how it's going to work. No more ladders, no more worries, right? A couple more worries. So they don't spend any time or money on this first story entryway. On the second story, they do exactly that. All the money, all the effort is put into that second story entryway, because that's the one everyone's going to see eventually. We have these great photos at the end of the tour of elaborate entryways hanging in midair. Nobody can get there for 4 years. Here's how they do it eventually. They take, the original I-beams are above these. These were added in the 1970s for extra support. The original I-beams went a foot into the side of each building, a foot into the side of each retaining wall. Brick arches in between for extra support. Thank you, Romans. And every 5 feet or so, skylight to light the way. That's how it worked. Some of the brick they had locally here in Queen Anne, which is just north of the Space Needle, Seattle Center. But then the rest had to be imported from Japan. All the stone, quarried from the San Juan Islands to the north. Everybody had to pitch in and get this thing done. It took 14 years. Remember in the beginning when the city said it'll take about 7? It took 14. After they complete the project, people are down here using this as a commercial space for another generation. 20 years. People are down here banking, shopping, until they condemned the underground in 1907. Any guesses as to why they would condemn the underground? Seamstresses started to flourish, but that's a good guess. It was rats. Bubonic plague outbreak. I wait till the end of the tour to tell you guys. 5 people died in 1907. The city panics. They assume the rats are coming off the ships here in Elliott Bay. They're carrying fleas. They're breeding in the underground space. So they tell all the merchants, like Moses Coram, cement over your underground, block the top from the bottom off. And for every rat tail you bring to City Hall, we're going to give you 10 cents, they said. They put a bounty on the rat tails for extra incentive. Now it worked for a little bit until someone got clever and started to breed the rats. Well, there's always an entrepreneur in the bunch, right? So they pulled the bounty, the rats flourished down here, and this became an abandoned junkyard for decades. Here's where it heats up. Whoever owns the space above owns the underground space directly below. All the way from the building facade to the retaining wall. It belongs to them. The city owns the street. Because we go to different sections throughout the tour, it means we have 7 different landlords. At the end of every year, we have to sign 7 leases. If anyone doesn't want to renew a lease, we have to reroute the tour. Over the decades, it's been rerouted a few times. In the 90s, it was 2 or 3 times alone in the 90s, yeah. Because there was a dot-com boom here in this town. People from out of town moved here. They didn't care about the underground. They bought office spaces above. They didn't renew the lease. So that's how it works. In case you're wondering about the water, too. The flooding, right? How come there's no water down here? What's going on? This used to be the beach remodel. What they did, same time they're lifting the streets and the buildings, they put 7 seawalls from the back of the old sawmill all the way to where the water line is today. In between those 7 seawalls, they filled it again with landfill. They created a levee, and they physically pushed the water line back another 3 blocks or so to the west. So it helps with flooding down here.